Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we're going to do a Should You Pull video on the next banners dropping on DFFOO. So there are going to be some banners revolving around Balthier. So Balthier is the next FR coming. And then Golbez is getting a C90 and rework. And then Rem is kind of back along for the ride with force enhancements, right? So I'll kind of give you just an overview of what the characters do really quick, and then I'll talk about if I think you should summon on the banners or not, right? Rem is a character I personally really love. You can see my Rem is blue armor. I've had her toting around my dagger Ultima weapon many times. Probably between her and Ferris, they're going to be toting it. Actually, I think early November, like the next stuff coming out, I think Locke is getting a rework and coming back, so he can take his dagger back. So I like my dagger characters, but Rem basically is a very good support character with off-turn damage, or I should say more like follow-up damage than off-turn. It's more follow-up damage, and she can. Her big thing is her swap turns mechanic. So basically, having Rem in the party is kind of like having a 2-party member team while still having the benefit of having 3 characters with auras. Is basically what it is, right? She basically, you can pair her up with, like, say, a Rinoa or a Tifa, like a really powerful DPS, and you can just turn manipulate and give them extra turns, right? This can also be good if you, say, have a character like Gladio or one of these type of tanky characters that you just want to sit in the back and not get turns. You can turn manipulate the other characters up to the front. Rem is also very good with characters like Sync, who are inherently very slow. She can bring them up and give them a lot more turns. So Rem has a lot of uses, and she like heals, so Rem can definitely operate as your main support. She has probably the fattest heals in the game, or one of the fattest heals in the game, because one of her buttons is literally just Cure, and it's just a giant AoE Cure that also does like some attack buffs and stuff. So I'm a big fan of Rem. I like Rem a lot. Now, is Rem like the best support character in the game? No. Like, if you've got, your Luna Freyas, your Selfies, like, you definitely don't need Rem. But she's just I would say more of a personal fan favorite of mine. I just really like her style. I like her character a lot, right? Then we have Golbez. Golbez has always suffered from the issue of being like almost too dependent on his dark elemental damage. The way his kit always operated in the past is that he does like pretty good damage if he's doing like dark weakness damage. But if he's not doing elemental damage, if he's not hitting that weakness, he doesn't typically do as well. It's not that big a deal in today's game because, like, characters are now enchanting and paraling. Like, if you have an element, you're pretty much always doing weakness damage. So he's definitely fine there, and like his rework does bring him up to par. But is he going to compare to Tifa and Rinoa? Like, no, he's not. And the fact that he is so tied to an element, that is kind of a weakness, because if his element is ever locked out, then he flat out can get locked out of a fight. You can't use him. Part of what makes Tifa and Rinoa so good, not just that they are like insane DPS characters, but the fact that they're being non-elemental is a huge benefit, because you can take them to any elemental lockout fight, provided you can just enchant them for the correct element, right? Golbez won't work like that. If Dark is locked out, like, he's locked out. So that's just something to keep in mind there. Once again, if Golbez is a favorite, like, he's going to be putting up some good numbers. Like, you're going to enjoy using him. When I do Should You Pulls, though, we're talking like average player, maybe low on resources. What banner should you really be summoning it on, right? Or what character should you summon for? Balthier getting his FR. So Balthier, I guess, is kind of known as one of the global, I guess you'd say global anniversary flop characters. Partially because he's not as hype of a character. I think he was fine. But if you compare Balthier, so Balthier and Vincent were kind of a tandem, like, anniversary group. They kind of came out. Vincent was more of a surprise, like a couple weeks after or a week after. But they were technically both part of that anniversary thing, right? And they're both kind of flops for a couple of reasons. One, Vincent's definitely more hype. Balthier less hype. But I believe they launched at C70 and we were already getting C80 characters, and they didn't make them C80. So that was like a really big part that made them maybe not as good. And then Balthier, like, I think Balthier was very good on launch on Global for that, Global first. The reason why he gets like so, I don't know, like why people maybe complain about the anniversary is just, it's not that he was bad, but when you compare him to Garnet, Aranea, like these ridiculous anniversary characters that just lasted like forever, and were like even Beatrix for like year 1. Like these characters were just like blew up the game and were like insane. And then here comes Balthier, and it's like, yeah, he's all right, he's good, he's decent, right? So what's Balthier looking like now, right? So like Balthier, if you're not familiar, he is a good aura bot. The one thing I don't like about Balthier's auras though is he has a stacking aura, and you have to take a couple turns to get it stacked up before you have the full auras, kind of like how Bart's does. So I'm not a fan of that. I would rather just have the auras right away. Like, why not just have them right away, right? But Balthier does provide some very unique things to your party that not a lot of characters can do, in that he is a big time cleanse / dispel character. So what that means is he's going to be able to keep your party cleansed of debuffs very often with a lot of his buttons, and he actually can dispel enemy buffs. So, and actually, in fact, he actually steals them. So he can steal buffs, he can get rid of buffs on the enemy, and then he can get rid of your debuffs. So that's really his main role. His damage, I would say, is okay, but he's more of a utility type support character. The one thing with him as a support character, though, he doesn't heal, but he does do fairly, like I said, his auras are good. Like, they're decent auras. And he's a good range damage dealer, right? And can really help you. Basically, I would say he's a buff debuff manager. Like, that's probably the best way to describe him, is a buff debuff manager that's like an all-in-one, can handle all of your buff debuffing needs in terms of cleansing and that sort, right? Or getting rid of debuffs that you have. So yeah, he's pretty good. Now here's the thing, should you pull on this banner? Probably not. And the reason why is obviously we've just had Tifa and Rinoa, which are like top tier meta defining characters. There's going to be better stuff coming, right? Now, I think in my last should you pull, I mentioned like Jack Garland, like, yeah, maybe he might come next month. Like, I didn't have the timeline in front of me, I didn't remember, but Jack Garland comes out and he's very good, but he's literally like a Christmas character. So sure, he's a little ways away. You got some time to save for your boy Jack Garland, but you know, Minwoo's coming out. Minwoo's the next like new character, and a lot of people like Minwoo. That's a character that's gonna be hyped for some people. Celis is personally very, very hyped for me. So I think Celis is going to be a really nice drop coming out moving forward. And there's other characters as well. So just keep in mind, I think Vaughn's another one, like Vaughn FR. I know a lot of people are hyped for that. So I think there are just better things to save for. Because when you look at this banner, once again, if you're thinking should you pull in terms of meta, none of these characters are like super meta defining. As much as I love Rem, and Rem's such a flexible character that works in so many team comps. Like, honestly, I mean, people might think I'm crazy, and this is probably like a huge bias, but I think Rem is actually the best unit on these banners, in my opinion. Obviously, she doesn't have an FR, but she's kind of like Selfie in that getting force enhancements is actually pretty huge for her to help her charge the force gauge, because she is a very supporty, like free instant turn type of character. I believe you can spam her cure is a force charging move. So, you know, Rem now is going to be a good force charge support character that I'm definitely going to try to get some use out of, because I'm a big fan of Rem. I just see myself using Rem more than either of these other two characters on the banner. So, me personally, this is a big fat skip for me. Golbez, I don't even know how much of his kit is have, but I think for all of these characters, I have at least their LD. So, I can very easily showcase these characters. Balthier, you definitely don't need the FR. He can hit some pretty, like, his is pretty unique to, like, him, because it involves, like, cleansing or dispelling. But if you're doing all that with all of his requirements, I think he can do, like, 120% per turn or something ridiculous. It's pretty high, because I think one of his requirements alone just flat out does 80%, and then you can hit, like, 2 more 20s or a 40 or something. So, Balthier, you can do some crazy things, but, like, once again, when you're thinking of these force characters now, we're, like, early on, I was summoning in a ton for force, right, because I wanted to build up my box. But now we're getting to the point where enough force weapons are out there. You really need, now it's more like you got to kind of pick and choose, because you can't use all of these forces every fight, right? Other than it's nice to have some backups for like lockout content, which is pretty much what I'm doing. But you have to think to yourself, if I'm going into a force time and I want the easiest way of it, what am I going to do? It's going to be Tifa or Rinoa, right? That's the path of least resistance, which is my playstyle, right? Now, if your playstyle is like challenge run, want to beat it with all the characters, whatever, then great, summon for all the force you want. But yeah, this to me is a pretty darn easy skip. I would say. Obviously, if a character is your favorite, always summon for your favorites, right? If you love Golbez, summon for him, build him up. He's going to be great. He's going to be fine. You can definitely get through content with him. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of this banner. Let me know if you're going to summon. I think I'm just going to hold. I'm low on resources, so I skipped Aerith, and I think I'm going to skip this one as well. So anyways, guys, let me know what y'all think. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.